What happens when life places a cancer diagnosis in the path of the future you have only just begun to build? My guest today, Zulma Beatriz Williams, was born in Buenos Aires and immigrated to the United States at 31. At 42, while working in accounting, she began studying social work in English, her second language. Just 6 weeks after earning her degree, Zulma discovered a lump and was diagnosed with breast cancer. She could have allowed that diagnosis to define the rest of her life. Instead, she changed the question from why me to why not me? Her words became a powerful personal philosophy. I had cancer. Cancer didn't have me. After treatment, Zulma continued building her life she wanted. She completed her master's degree at 50, founded Dragonfly Therapy Services, and became a bilingual psychotherapist supporting people experiencing trauma, anxiety, and depression. Then at 60, she followed another dream and moved to Panama to live beside the ocean. In this episode of Not Just a Story, Zulma shares what it means to face illness without surrendering your identity, begin again later in life, and stop using age, fear, or past circumstances as reasons to remain where you are. Her story reminds us that a challenge can become part of our story without owning our future. As Zulma says, if you wake up today, your mission is life is not complete. What dream have you been delaying because you believed it was too late? Perhaps it's not too late at all.
Welcome to Not Just a Story with Rose Davidson, where lived experience becomes meaning and stories create impact.
Hello and welcome to Not Just a Story with Rose Davidson. I'm your host, Rose Davidson, and I would love to welcome my guest today is Zulma Williams. And Zulma's going to be talking about her cancer journey, and she had cancer and cancer didn't have her. So we're going to be discussing all things about her journey and how she's arrived at where she is. And Zulma is the founder of Dragonfly, which is the service, beg your pardon. It's therapy services. She's a psychotherapist, a podcaster, and an inspirational speaker, specializing in trauma, anxiety, and depression. She's born in Buenos Aires and she immigrated to the US at 31 and began her social work journey at 42. Shortly after earning her degree, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, an experience that absolutely reshaped her path. It took care of her health and started her master's degree at 50. Her mission is to debunk the lie that it's too late to start and help people overcome life challenges and step fully into their potential, no matter their age or their past. Zulma, it is such a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Rose. Such an honor.
So why did you go to the US from Buenos Aires?
So in Argentina, the socioeconomic situation, even today, is very, very difficult. So I was 31. I was still living with my mom. I didn't have a job for 2 years at that point. And I was like, well, I always had this dream of living in the United States. And I was like, well, when you have nothing to lose. So I took it as an adventure. If it didn't work out, I go back. But 30 years later, I moved to another part, but now back to Argentina. But it was what actually prompted me to move when I did. I had a cousin. He was a little older than me, a few months older. So he was probably 32 at the time. And he had a stroke and died. So I was like, because at 30, you believe like, oh, you have your entire life in front of you. I'll do it later. And I was like, oh my God, like that was such a traumatic event in my life. But it was also a wake-up call that whatever you're going to do it now. Why wait, right? Like, so within 6 months, I planned my trip to the United States from his passing. And it was like, wow, like, I don't know if that didn't happen, if I would have gone to the United States, who knows? But that was the trigger, because I was toying with the idea of doing that, but that was kind of like, what truly inspired me to, it's like, no, you don't have time, you do it now.
Yeah, no, that's right. Sometimes it's best just to make the decision and just do it rather than overthinking it, and things could fall apart. And I'm planning a trip at the end of the year, and trying to save up, and just everything just seems to be getting in the road, and the savings are depleting. And I'm keep thinking, if I had just gone and not worried about it, then everything would have been fine, and I could have managed the finances afterwards. It's no big deal. But yeah, it's just life gets in the road, and sometimes it's not very favorable for the things that you want to do. Now, tell me a little bit about your breast cancer journey, Zulma. And I know breast cancer can be quite traumatic, and all the treatments and everything that you need to go through, but how did you come to find out that you had the breast cancer? What prompted you to go and investigate?
Yes, so I'm gonna move a little further back before the diagnosis. At 42, I was working in accounting, and I was thinking about my future, and I always had this passion for helping people. And I was like, okay, what do I need to do to be a therapist? I need to go to school. So while I was working in accounting, I started my Bachelor of Social Work at 42. I graduated, and 6 weeks after graduation, I found I had a lump, which I have already discovered, but it took 6 weeks after graduation to get the diagnosis. So I had a lump. I was actually watching a soccer game, and I was laying on the couch like this, and I touched something on my breast, right? Like it was just the most bizarre way. But it was, so I went to have a mammogram. So I didn't have insurance because I just graduated, right? Like, so I was applying for jobs. I was on track to do my master's, which clearly didn't happen that year. But I was applying for jobs, and I was like, okay, when I get a job and I get health insurance, and no, my friends were like, no, you need to get that checked. So I got a mammogram. Then I was referred to a doctor. Then that doctor referred me to another doctor, but nobody was saying anything. So I was in la la land, right? Like I was like, oh, okay, I go to this doctor, and then I go to that doctor. So the surgeon, he did an ultrasound of my breast, and he said, I don't like what I see. I'm gonna order a biopsy. I'm still in la la land, right? So I was like, okay. So I get the biopsy done, and then I started doing research on forums, and like it was like, if it is cancer, you ask these questions. If it's not cancer, you ask these questions, and bring a friend with you, because if it is cancer, you're not going to remember anything. And I'm so glad that I did that research, because I went with a friend, and the surgeon didn't have the best bedside manners. Like he wasn't even making eye contact. Like I was on the table here, and he was like over there looking at reports, and he was like, yeah, I was right, you have cancer. Like that's how I find out I had cancer. And that's when my friend kind of like took over and started asking all the questions. And I decided so my first reaction was, why me, right? Like, and then I started thinking, I have a mom, I don't have children, but I had my mom, and I have a sister, I have nieces, I have friends. If it wasn't me, would I have preferred it was one of them who got the diagnosis? And the answer is absolutely not. So I changed the question from why me to why not me, which took me away from the victim mentality of why me, right? So then I had a decision to make. I can sit in the corner and cry until I die, or I stand up and fight. Well, spoiler alert, here I am, right? Like, so So I started my treatment. I had surgery and radiation in the States, but I had decided to move back to Argentina to be close to my family. And I continued my treatment there. And then I didn't die, clearly. I'm here. And at 49, I was like, I want to go back to the States. Like it was such a cultural shock to go back after living in the States for so long. I was too Americanized to be back in Argentina. And so I was 49. I wanted to celebrate my 50th birthday in Las Vegas. That's where I was living at the time of my diagnosis. And I asked God for a sign, right? Like that this was the right move. And be careful what you ask for. Out of nowhere, I got an email into my personal email from the university saying, because my student account had been deactivated because I wasn't a student for 3 years at this point. And the email said like, hey, we have the advanced master program. Do you want to enroll? Right. It was like, thank you, God. Like that was, I actually signed, God gave me a banner. So I moved back to Las Vegas. I celebrated my 50th birthday there. I started my master's at 50. I graduated in 1 year, because that is why it's the advanced program is in 1 year, you are done. And then fast forward to last year, I turned 60. And I went to Hawaii for my birthday because Las Vegas is a desert and we are melting there. 44 degrees, 45 degrees every day. Goodness. Like it's unbearable. And I went to Hawaii because I love the ocean. And when I was there, just for the 4 days, just for the weekend for my birthday, I was like, I need to figure it out how to do this. I want to live by the ocean. It's kind of like what my soul needed. And I started praying about it. And the answer was Panama. And here I am in Panama. 6 months later, I moved to Panama. I live by the ocean. I fall asleep to the sound of the waves and I wake up to the sound of the waves. And it's like, I can see the ocean from my balcony and I'm like, yes, I did that, like if, so that's how my motto came, because my motto is I had cancer didn't have me. Because if anything, cancer came to show me how bad I wanted to be a therapist, because it didn't stop me, it only delayed me, right? And then I don't kind of like allow any other challenges to stop me from where I want to be. Like we were saying earlier, right? Like you want to do it, right? Like, so I was like, I don't want to be 80 and thinking like, oh, what if I moved to Panama 20 years ago? I want to enjoy the ocean right now. Right? Like, so, and that's what I'm doing. But my motto can be applied to any challenge anybody is facing. It doesn't have to be a medical diagnosis. If you own the challenge instead of allowing the challenge to own you, then you can make decisions about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, later in life, most of us are pretty settled in what we want to do and we can follow our dreams, because we've lived our life basically, and so we're more settled in what the things that we want to do. And so a lot of people find their calling later in life, then their passion and the things that they want to do. So well done to you for completing your master's in such a short time, and doing all the things that you want to do, later in life when you've figured it all out, basically. And I think, well done to you.
Right. So when I have a client telling me like, oh, I'm too old to go back to school, I'm like, yeah, you're barking at the wrong tree, right? Like I started my bachelor at 42, my master at 50, and English is not my first language. So what is your excuse, right? Yeah, because at that point it's an excuse.
Yeah,
It's not a
people have
reason.
got law degrees at 80. I mean, for heaven's sake, if they're 80 and going to university and and doing really well. So there's nothing holding us back. It's only our own mindset, really, that's, saying that we're too old, and we're never too old for anything.
Exactly. So, unless you have physical difficulties, which is a complete different thing. But if you are, I'm grateful that I can use my body, and I can walk, and I can move my hands, and right again, it's like we are taking those things for granted, and they're not. So that's why I make it a point to be grateful for them. But it's like I see people, so the beach, so the building has a private entrance to the beach, and the beach is like on an incline, so it's a lot difficult for a lot of people to come up, right? And even me, like sometimes I'm like like I'm like, what's going on? And I'm so glad that I didn't wait until I cannot climb back from the beach. Like, so a lot of people just stay. There are a lot of expats from the United States. They move to Panama because the cost of living is a lot cheaper. So they move here and they just spend their time at the pool, at the swimming pool, instead of the ocean. I like the ocean. So it's like, I'm glad that I did it now that I can enjoy the ocean and I'm not limited to the pool.
Yeah.
Because, like I met one of my neighbors, an older lady, and she told me, she's like, it's too hard for me to come up, when I go. So that's why I stay at the pool. And then I was like, oh, that's why a lot of people are at the pool, like, right? Like, because I'm thinking like, you live by the ocean, what are you doing at the pool? But it's like, there are reasons why people are at the pool,
Absolutely. Yes. And, physical challenges sometimes can't be overcome. And, if you can find an alternative to the things that you love, I mean, water's water. It doesn't matter if it's salt or chlorine, it's still water. And if you enjoy it, do whatever your body can allow you to do. For me, I've got physical challenges as well. So, I spend most of my time at home because going out is just too difficult for me to, get in and out of the car. And so, I would love to go and do more things, but, these are challenges I need to overcome, and I will eventually, and I'll be able to go and do the things that I want to do.
Right.
Yeah. So, Zulma, tell me a little bit about Dragonfly Therapy Services.
Yes, it's my private practice. So the process to become a licensed therapist, you do your master's, and you had to do about 2.5, 3 years of internships where you gather your clinical hours, then you pass a clinical exam, and then you get your independent license. Once I got my independent license, because when you're an intern, you cannot choose your clients, or whomever comes through the door, you have to provide services. But that's a great experience, because that's how you learn who do you prefer to work with, right? So I determined that I want to specialize in anxiety, depression, and trauma. So once I became independently licensed, I will go to my clinical director and say, like, hey, I don't like working with couples. Don't send me couples. Or, I don't feel comfortable working with personality disorders. Okay, here comes a couple because they speak Spanish and I'm the only bilingual therapist. Madam, like, which part of don't send me couples didn't you understand, right? Like, so I got kind of like tired of being disrespected and not being heard. So I founded my own practice. I'm like, okay, since like you're not listening, I'm going, because in my practice, I choose the clients I want to work with. I offer a 15-minute consultation to see what a good match. I ask about your goals for therapy and all that. And I call it Dragonfly because dragonfly symbolizes the change that comes from the inside. So dragonflies, they fly on the surface of the water, and they eat all the bacteria so the light can go in. And it's like, it was a very symbolic thing. So that's why it's called Dragonfly.
Oh, lovely. That's lovely. I love that. Now
Thank you.
You can reach out to Zulma on Facebook at Dragonfly TSLV. You can find her at dragonflytherapyservices.net. She's on Instagram, The Swearing Therapist, and on YouTube at The Swearing Therapist. Zulma, it has been an absolute pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for joining me here on Not Just a Story. And if you would like to find out more about Not Just a Story and indeed the Impactful Voice Project, go to rose@davidson.com.au. Zulma, thank you so much, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Oh, yes, I would love that. So I would like to close with this. If you woke up today, that means that your mission in life is not complete. Keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you're going to come on the other side of the challenge you're currently facing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Not Just a Story with Rose Davidson. If something in this episode stayed with you, you're invited to reflect on your own story, in your own way, in your own time. And if you feel ready, you can share your story through the Impactful Voice Project at rosedavidson.com.au. This is a space where lived experience is honored and stories are shared with care. Until next time, your story matters.